live in Sutton and you have a desire to take some yoga classes, what's the best way for someone to find a teacher?
I guess there's you can Google yoga directory, and that will give you a list of schools. Usually there's a brief description of, if you're lucky, the teacher's credentials. And I guess it would be to shop around. Like I said earlier, we're very lucky here in North America. I guess especially in the province of Quebec. I mean, you can be in a small town or a village, and you'll have 2, 3, 4, 5 different teachers. So shopping around is a good thing. Perhaps the first thing to do is just call up, speak to the teacher, and
get a feel
for what the teacher is telling you, and maybe also be clear about what your intention is when you're going to a yoga class. If it's just to feel good, well, that's an intention. That's okay. Right. And you'll find a teacher that will hopefully go and make you feel better.
Do you want to tell us a little bit of what happens usually in a yoga class? Give our listeners an idea who've never graced a yoga studio yet.
Okay. I can say what happens in my yoga classes. Okay. Usually at the beginning, the 5 or 10 first minutes are about experiencing the inner, or I could say, bringing someone closer to the inner experience. So that means bringing the attention to the breath. So the first 10 minutes is about that. What this does is, first of all, it calms the nervous system. It gives people time to just arrive, because usually if the morning are not too bad, but in the evening, people have their day of work, they have their, day in the traffic or in the cars or whatever. So the first 10 minutes is about just settling down. And then slowly, there's a buildup of heat in the body. So we start slowly with a few stretches, then we'll go into a little deeper by doing what we call sun salutations. So sun salutations are movements with the breath. So by moving with the breath, you get sweaty. So by getting sweaty, you heat up the body, and by heating up the body, when you take postures, then the muscles respond better because they're warmed up from the inside.
So it's safer.
It's much safer. So I kind of, the intensity goes up until about a half hour before the end, and then there's a cool down. So a cool down is different postures that bring a cooling effect to the body. And the last 15 minutes is a posture that is a favorite of everyone. It's called Savasana, which would be translated as corpse pose. But of course, here in North America, we say, okay, relaxation pose. So this posture is, it is there to absorb the work that has been done by resting the body and resting the mind. So the last relaxation, which lasts about 10 to 15 minutes, is a guided relaxation. So people usually come out, this is in order for people to come out of the yoga class very settled, very grounded, very calm. Usually this is the effect.
And that I know when I finish my classes, and even for myself, who's giving the instructions, I know at the end of my class I just feel great. I feel so grounded, and like you said, especially at the end of the day, you have all the stuff that you've been carrying, all the stress and whatever, and it's a wonderful way to finish the day. I know. As a matter of fact, I gave a class last night, 6:30 to 8, and it was mostly the same postures that I usually give, but the energy in the room was so different. And by the time, it was about 8 o'clock when we finished, and at the time everybody finished, it was like, wow, I'm ready to go to bed right now. And, not everyone had a big dinner because it's, not a good idea to eat a lot of food before a yoga class. But we were all talking about we're going to go and have dinner after. But afterwards, everyone's like, I think I'm just going to go to bed. And there was the need for food to was less. I know I slept better, and it felt good. So the practice was very different from a morning practice that you and I did 2 days ago to the evening practice I did yesterday. So it's there's a lot to be said about yoga. It's so deep, and as you said at the beginning of the show, that you can go quite into a lot of detail, like this posture rather helps with the liver, or this organ or that organ. The other day, my father woke up and he had cramps in his legs. He woke him up in the middle of the night. He says, "What is that?" And I said, "Where was it?" So he pointed where is the liver meridian. Meridian is the Chinese system of lines in the body that connect different organs together, and that's another show completely. But anyway, so I said, that's your liver meridian, and I know that he has issues with his liver. So I said, I'm not surprised, So I actually got him on the floor, and I showed him a stretch that he could do in the middle of the night to help calm the liver, and he was very grateful. And I don't know if he's practiced it yet.
That's another story.
That's another story, yeah. Maybe I get my father on the show one day, and he could tell me what he thinks of his daughter and all this alternative stuff. It would probably take too much time. Anyways, so I just want to take a minute here and give let listeners know that we're the alternatives. You have choices on CIDI 99.1 FM. We are a weekly radio show talking about health and alternative lifestyles. I believe we have time for another question or something else. Did you want to talk about something in particular, Danielle?
Well, you were talking about something about the liver. I think the side effects of yoga is perhaps something to talk about, because we talk about the postures themselves getting more flexible or gaining stability, but I think the overall effect, like you said, you'll sleep better. The nervous system will be more balanced. The immune system is much better. The response to stress is much better. So I mean, it's in that way, it's much more complete than just exercise.
Yeah, and what I love about yoga too is the breathing exercises that we learn are just in themselves a wonderful tool that we can give our participants to help with stressful situations, possibly dealing with insomnia. You wake up in the middle of the night and you have some sort of anxiety. Teaching breathing exercises. Well, thank you so much, Danielle. It's been wonderful
pleasure.
having you on the show. I want to tell everybody that next week he'll be on talking about meditation. And he
Looking forward to that.
Teaches meditation. You've been listening to The Alternatives. You have choices with your host, Ilya Kavukis. Please feel free to email me if you have any questions at ilya@sunshinecenter.ca. Center is spelled T-E-R. You can phone me, 450-538-1111. See you next week.
Bye-bye.